The objective for today is I can solve a word problem using model drawing. So we're going to use all those steps in order to answer a word problem. So remember, we have 8 steps. Here are all of the 8 steps, but do you remember my saying that I used to help us go through these steps? Remember, it's real, wise workers, do problems, quit complaining about it, silly. So real stands for read the problem. Wise is who. Workers is what. Do is draw our unit bars, and remember we draw them equal. Problems stands for plug in the information. Quit stands for question mark. Complaining stands for the computation, which is our number sentence. About it is our answer. And silly is for our sentence. So real, wise workers do problems, quit complaining about it, silly. Let's get started. This first problem, if you like, you can just watch me solve it, because then for the next one, you're going to do it with me. So our 8 steps of model drawing are written down the side of our paper. Do you remember what the R stands for the first step? It stands for read the problem. Let's read the problem together. Hunter ate 24 cookies. Caden ate 17 cookies. How many more cookies did Hunter eat than Caden? Now that we've read our problem, we can check mark that. Now our first W stands for who. Who do I have in this problem? I have 2 people. I have Hunter, and I also have Caden. What's the next W stand for? It stands for what. So what do Hunter and Caden have? They have cookies. So I'm going to put Hunter's cookies and Caden's cookies. The D stands for draw, and remember, we're not actually drawing cookies this time. Because we're doing model drawing, we are drawing unit bars, and we start by drawing them the same size. Now the P stands for plug in information. So let's start reading sentence by sentence. Hunter ate 24 cookies. Let's pause there and let's add in our 24. So I know that Hunter ate 24 cookies. So I'm going to put that with his unit bar. The next sentence says, Caden ate 17 cookies. So I'm going to put that with his unit bar. But I started by making these 2 unit bars the same size. So that would mean 24 and 17 are equal. Are 24 and 17 equal? No. So who ate more cookies, Hunter or Caden? Hunter did. So I need to show that on his unit bar. So on Caden's unit bar, I'm going to take out a piece because Caden did not eat as many as Hunter. So I need to show that Caden's 17 is not the same size as Hunter's 24. And I show that by crossing out a little bit of his unit bar. Now I'm up to my question mark. The question says, how many more cookies did Hunter eat than Caden? So it's not asking me how many Hunter ate, and it's not asking me how many Caden ate. It's asking me how many more did Hunter eat? So what's the difference between what Hunter ate and what Caden ate? And so I know the difference is this amount right in here, because that's the extra that Hunter ate compared to Caden. So now I have my question mark. And remember, this is where I like to draw my number bond because it helps me figure out what operation I need to use, whether it's addition or subtraction. So I look at my unit bars and I compare it to a number bond. So it looks like my whole is 24. And then my parts would be 17 and a question mark. And I know that if I'm missing a part, I need to do subtraction to find my missing part. So my problem is going to be 24 minus 17. That's my computation. Now let's go ahead and answer it. Let's start in our ones. 4 minus 7. Can I do 4 minus 7? Nope. So let's do some regrouping. I'm going to borrow a 10. I'm going to take those 10 ones and add it into my ones column. So now I have 14 minus 7. That's one of our doubles facts. 14 minus 7 equals 7. And now I have 1 minus 1, which equals 0. So our answer is just 7. Now our last step is to answer our problem in a sentence. I always like to reread the question. How many more cookies did Hunter eat than Caden? Let's turn around that sentence and say, Hunter ate 7 more cookies than Caden. Remember, with our sentence, start with a capital letter and end with a period. Now for this problem, you are going to do it with me, and this is on your worksheet that you have. You either have the worksheet from Central Office or maybe you also could print it out at home. So make sure you have this worksheet ready to go because this is that first problem that you have to turn in for your homework. And so let's do it together. Let's start by reading our problem. Read it with me. Chase has 244 Legos. Connor has 331 Legos. How many more Legos does Connor have than Chase? Check mark the R on your worksheet because we have done our first step. Now, what's our second step? It's who. So who do I have in this math problem? Go ahead and write their names down. Hopefully you wrote Chase, and you also wrote Connor. What's the next step? What? So what do Chase and Connor have? They have Legos. So we're going to put Chase's Legos and Connor's Legos. And make sure you're writing small enough that you have room to draw your number or to draw your unit bars out to the side. And then don't forget to check mark your next W. Do you remember what the D stands for? It stands for draw, so let's draw our unit bars. And do your best to make them the same size. Now let's start plugging in information. Chase has 244 Legos. So we're going to put that in Chase's unit bar. Connor has 331 Legos. Let's put that in Connor's. But wait a minute, something doesn't look right, does it? Are 244 and 331 the same? Are they equal? They're not. So who has less, Chase or Connor? Chase has less. So let's take a piece out of his unit bar to show that he has fewer Legos than Connor. I like to draw those dotted lines because those help me see the comparison for how big Connor's unit bar is versus how big Chase's unit bar is. Now we've plugged in our information, it's time for the Q. What does the Q stand for? It stands for our question mark. And how do we figure out where our question mark goes? Reread our question sentence. So our question sentence says, how many more Legos does Connor have than Chase? Hey, this sounds a lot like our last one, doesn't it? It's not asking us for the total of either one, but it's asking how many more Connor has. So remember on our last one, when we wanted to find out how many more, we looked at this little piece right here because that showed us the extras that Connor had compared to Chase. So now if we draw our number bond just goes the other way this time. So we're going to have our whole on the bottom and we'll have our parts on the top. Because now our whole is 331, which was how many Connor had. And then our two parts would be the number that Chase had. And then also a missing part. So the same thing as last time, when we're missing a part, do we have to add or do we have to subtract? We have to subtract. So our subtraction problem is 331 minus 244. Let's subtract these two numbers. Let's start in our ones. 1 minus 4. Can I solve 1 minus 4? I cannot, so we have to go next door. We're going to borrow a 10, and we're going to put those 10 ones in our ones place. So now we have 11 minus 4. 11 minus 4 equals 7. Now let's subtract our 10s. 2 minus 4. More on the floor. Go next door. We have to regroup again. So let's borrow 100. Let's put our 100 into our 10s as 10 tens. So we have 12 minus 4. 12 minus 4 equals 8. And then when we look at our hundreds, we have 2 minus 2, which equals 0. So now we can check mark the C for computation. We can check mark the A for answer, and we are left with just our sentence. How many more Legos does Connor have than Chase? We can say Connor has 87 more Legos than Chase. Awesome job doing this problem with me. Now it's going to be your turn to do one on your own. For your independent practice today, you are going to solve this second problem all on your own. Remember this first one we just did together. So now you just need to do this second one, and then you are going to turn this in to Edgenuity. Don't forget to use all of the steps of model drawing. I have them down here on the side so you can check them off as you go.